I think it's brilliant for Woodhorn to have the installation here, because so many of the communities here would never have had the chance to see the poppies when they were at the Tower of London. At Woodhorn, what we really try and do is create opportunities for people to have cultural experience, whether that's arts or heritage experiences that they just wouldn't have anywhere else. And so having the poppies here gives that chance, not just for the immediate communities around Woodhorn, but for the communities throughout the northeast to come and see what is an iconic piece of art. It's a real coup for Woodhorn to have the poppies here, and it was quite a process to get them here. We had to bid. There was an open call for places that wanted to bring the poppies there. We bid for that. We had to make a case, and the case that we made was really around three areas. It was to say, first of all, the poppies were going to look fantastic against the industrial backdrop here. We very early on saw the opportunity of the poppies cascading from one of the pit wheels, which luckily the artists also really loved that idea. Secondly, obviously there's a very clear connection between coal mining and the First World War. Many thousands of people from the northeast coalfield went and fought during the war, but also many more carried on producing coal, which fueled the war effort. And thirdly, really was about that opportunity for people here in the northeast to see the poppies who might otherwise not have had the opportunity to see it. So we had to pitch that to 1418 Now, and luckily they agreed with us around those reasons and chose us as to be the first venue outside of London. I think it's pretty fair to say there's been a series of technical challenges that we've had to overcome in order to install the poppies. Obviously we're dealing with a very sensitive site here. It's a scheduled ancient monument, so we needed to get permission from Historic England to do that. We also needed to work with the Coal Authority. There's still a coal mine underneath this site, and so that has issues around the weight loadings on there. And then of course the actual drop of Weeping Window here is about double the height that it was at the Tower of London, so that again has brought lots of technical difficulties for the team that are doing it. But it's going fantastic. We've brought together an amazing team. We've got some of the guys that we work with locally who install exhibitions here and at many of the other galleries around the northeast. We're also working with the national team from 1418 Now, and of course the artists, and they've all come together and really risen to the challenge of trying to make it happen, along with the Woodhorn staff, who of course are great and you know, really turn their hand to anything. We do all sorts of crazy things.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that's good.
My name's Sue Thompson, and I'm the project manager for the installation of the poppies at the various venues. I think looking at the particular location, and it's a much more extended version of the Weeping Window than was originally seen at the Tower of London. So that is obviously kind of quite a major challenge in terms of working out the structure and how it all fits together onto the pit head. But the site is wonderful, so not a challenge at all working with the team here. So our team is comprised of myself as project manager. We have two senior conservators working with us to oversee the care and the maintenance of the poppies, as well as do a lot of the planning alongside myself, and a production manager who's also a conservator, and he is overseeing the build and the logistics and the drawings, and working with both the artist and the designer to kind of carry out their design for the poppies. And my role is then as project manager is to pull everything together and work as the liaison between my team and 1418 Now and each individual presenter.
Okay. This is a very different site to the Tower of London. What does that throw up in terms of opportunities and also challenges? God, heaven only knows. Sorry, is that going to mess you up? If that's not a great question, we can move on to something else.
Okay, no. I think you're right. I think it's very different from the Tower of London. I think what was incredible at the Tower of London was the mass of poppies and the impact that made, and the emotion that stirred and created within the public that saw it. I think it will create a similar kind of emotion at each local venue, but I think it will be a more personal emotion because it will be pertinent to the area and to the loss that occurred in each individual area. And I think it's an incredible opportunity for each venue to then be highlighted and be seen, and to attract perhaps a different type of public and a different kind of visitor than they might normally have.
Why is it, do you think, that people have had such a strong emotional reaction to this particular artwork?
I think it's the fact that primarily that each poppy represents a life lost, and I think the raw emotion that kind of throws up, I think, is so personal probably to everybody who would see the installation, would know of somebody either within their own family or within an extended circle who've suffered that kind of loss, either in the First World War or in subsequent conflicts. And so I think everybody can relate to it, and there's a resonance there that extends to everybody who sees it. And it looks visually stunning as well, so I think, you know, seeing it and actually seeing it on location and seeing what an incredible sight it is, I think it's wonderful.
That's perfect.
Sorry, it's not.
No, absolutely perfect.
It's Frances Hallahan.
Hallahan. Okay, how do you spell Hallahan?
Hallahan.
You do, Frances. And what is your job?
Well, I'm part of the project management team. There are 4 of us, which includes Maxwell and Hans, who you've met before, and one other person who's coming up. And 2 other people coming up later on. And we are sort of managing the installation of both of these works, of the wave that's now in Yorkshire Sculpture Park and the weeping window that's here.
What does that involve? What is the process?
Well, it's really just making sure that everything gets moved to where they've got to go. Well, there's a lot of preparation beforehand of making sure the site. Sorry, we haven't been involved in actually picking the sites. They were already chosen. In the future, we would like to be part of that process. And then what we then have to do is work out what is needed to make the artwork work. And we work with the artists, both of them, to make sure that they're happy. And things like ensuring that we have the scaffolding support here that is appropriate. And with the wave, we had to put in quite a lot of infrastructure into the lake in order for the wave to be able to come out of the lake over the bridge. So it's planning all of that and making sure you can find somebody with a crane to move bits about. And then we turn up on site, everything is delivered, and we turn up on site, and between us and with help from other people, put it all together and put it up.
What are some of the people here doing?
Well, they are fantastically generously giving their time, for which we are very grateful. At the moment, at the back there, they're putting the washers onto the metal armatures that hold the poppies. And the poppies are held by these washers first, and then the poppy goes on, and then more washers on top. So the armatures get put into place on the scaffolding, and then the poppies populated or planted, as it were, onto their washers that they've put on, and then more washers on top of those. And then when they've done that, they're very kindly going to help me sort out this rubbish of ironwork over there into lengths, so we know how much of each length we've got. And that is for planting the poppies, because they get planted in the sort of flatter areas, and we can then have a range of heights, and we'll know how many we have and what heights we've got. And another job, we had some volunteers this morning, and they did a very valiant job of sorting out some of the washers that we have that were mixed sizes, and I needed to have them separated out. And all of this work takes us a lot of time, but with the volunteers it's fantastic, absolutely fabulous.
How long will the installation take from start to finish, do you think?
Well, we have to finish, I think, by Wednesday. The opening is at the weekend, so I think the museum will continue, possibly with volunteers, planting some of the poppies on the flat, because that's reasonably straightforward, and we'll probably make sure they have enough set up ready to do that, and they can finish that off. But I think we're meant to be leaving by Wednesday, and they started doing the scaffolding at the beginning of the week, so it's not that long for quite a big piece.
And how many poppies in total are going to be on?
Well, there are about 3,000 as part of this installation, and we will be adding a few more to it. We have a pool which was bought at the same time as the two installations, and it's a pool of extra poppies in order to be able to adjust each installation for each site. So we'll be adding some more, I think, at the bottom to have a rich carpet of poppies.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, start by telling me what your name is, please.
Hi, I'm Sarah Crump, and I work for AkzoNobel in Ashington. We've come down here today to help with the poppy installation. It's an exciting opportunity, obviously doing something in the local community. Our site's based in Ashington, and obviously we'd like to do anything we can in the community to help out. It's a big deal for AkzoNobel because actually some of the poppies that we use with AkzoNobel made the paint for them. So not only do we have the site in Ashington, but we've also been involved in the paint aspects of it. So it's great to get involved with the team as part of the installation.
And what are you doing today?
Today we're just putting the rubber washers onto the actual structure for the poppies to be affixed onto it. So once all the structures are done, they'll then be getting erected outside on top of the on the wheel, and hopefully it'll look good.
Exactly what we need. Perfect.
I'm very excited that we're able to take the two pieces from Blood, Sweat, Lands and Seas of Red on a tour, thanks to very generous charitable donations from the Backstage Trust and the Claude Duffield. And it's also great that actually everybody in the country hopefully will get it to come near them or somewhere near them over the course till we get to 2018. I'm really delighted that the first place we're doing Weeping Window is here at Woodhorn, because it's so different. I think people would have expected us to go to a stately home or a castle, but actually coming to a place with a really strong First World War story of the suffering of the miners, the mining disaster that happened here as well during the First World War. And bringing it to Northumberland, it's wonderful, and I really enjoyed re-expressing the sculpture in relation to this building, or in fact to the mine head. Yeah.
What have the challenges been of relocating to this particular structure?
Well, the original Weeping Window came out of a window in the Tower of London. It was 7.2 metres high. This is double that, at least. In fact, we wanted to go higher, but the crane wouldn't reach, and also we weren't allowed by English Heritage to fix anything in. And you'd think that you could just fix anything into the structure, but actually the whole thing has to be freestanding, and none of it is meant to touch the winding head. So that's a big challenge. So the extra height. Luckily, when we did the installation at the tower, we had another piece which was called Over the Top, which went right up in one corner on the Tower Bridge side. So we had the metal work from that. So we're basically combining two sculptures together to make one, still with the same kind of theme of the pouring of the poppies, so they feel like blood.
So it didn't require building new bits, it's really incorporating what was already there?
Yeah, no, it's like a sort of strange jigsaw puzzle of getting all the bits together. There's some new scaffolding underneath the structure, and we painted that to match the grey of the industrial machinery. So I like the fact that you've got the response of the red poppies to the grey structure. I think as I'm a theatre designer, I work in a very collaborative medium, and you're used to sharing and taking ideas, contributing ideas, and actually the sum of the individual parts, is greater. Oh, get that the right way around. I'll say that again. So I'm used to working in theatre where you collaborate, you work together, you share ideas, and you build those ideas and feed off each other. So I think what's been great about this project is Paul had the initial idea of the single poppy representing a soldier. The Tower of London brought me in to design the installation, so I brought my kind of theatre background, the kind of metaphor that we use quite often in theatre, that things can transform, that you can use your imagination to turn one thing into another thing. So therefore here the poppies are, yes, they're flowers, but also they are a fluid, they are the blood, sweat, lands and seas of red, so they are a red sea. And so it was a very simple but quite hopefully kind of bold metaphor that actually the poppies are blood and that therefore they can flow. And I think people have really got that. It's a very simple, straightforward idea, and I think the combination of those two ideas has worked really well. So I think And also we've had the skills of vast numbers of different people working. The original structures were built by a scenery company down in Plymouth, different scaffolding companies working, all the different production teams. And I'm used to working with kind of big teams of people to kind of create projects. The other thing that I found at the Tower of London, which was wonderful, was that actually it created a space which was almost like a theatre space, where people who were planting were almost the actors, and they came and they brought with them their own stories of their own relatives and what they'd found out. And the people watching them, quite often they would applaud them. And one of the things we've tried to encourage here in Woodhorn is that, you know, volunteers can come, and next week they'll be coming and they will be planting poppies into the ground. And that notion of coming to a space for a way to reflect about the past, about your own family history. I've been very touched by that. I think for me the message of the piece was always one of the loss of so much life at such a young age, and the kind of the spirit, the human spirit really, and therefore coming to an industrial location, which also is one that's very used to the idea of loss through the history of mining and mining disasters. And you know, there was the mining disaster here in 1916. I think it touches that chord, and I mean, in a sense, in the Tower of London we were tapping into it. It was where the City Pals came and recruited, and equally up here and throughout the kind of industrial north, you know, all the pals got together, you know, from different factories and workforces and went off. And so I think the fact that so many ordinary people suffered in the war, and it was a people's war, it was, you know, and people were conscripted, means that I think it's great to come to a place that is, you know, what was an ordinary working man's environment.
Thank you.
Is that enough?
Just perfect, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Weeping Windows at Woodhorn now, how does that make you feel?
I think it looks really good. I was a bit sceptical because it's twice as high, but it looks really good. And it's bulked out a lot. It's the first time I've seen it with the skirt on. But when you come down from the road, earlier this morning, it looked like coal coming out the pit head, because they turned black. Because it's just different with all the weather, but it's really nice shining red now. It looks good. Yeah.
You must be really moved at how the artwork has really captured something of the nation's, you know, remembrance spirit. How does it make you feel, the way that the UK and the rest of the world has responded to this?
I wasn't expecting it. It's really slightly still sinking in. It's not how I expected it to be thought about. It could have gone the other way, but I'm really, really happy that people have got time to actually think about things, because that's what I like doing, having sort of a slight moment where you don't have to do anything else.
That will be perfect. Thank you very much.